My next guest is coming off an impressive third-round submission victory over Charles Jourdain back at UFC Fight Night. It is Julian Erosa, Juicy J, back here on the program. Julian, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going great, man. Obviously, it's nice to be on the show again, especially after a win like that.
Yeah, it was an awesome win. Congrats right off the bat, man. Impressive victory. Jourdain had never been finished in the UFC, so that was a really, really, really impressive victory. But before we go talk about the fight, I was actually curious, how much notice did you get for the matchup? Because he was supposed to fight Lerone Murphy. You step in, it's a 150-pound catch weight. Like, take me through all that leading into the fight.
Yeah, so I want to say early August, me and my wife got back from Big Bear, California. We like to go up there and get an Airbnb. It's just really nice. It's in the mountains and kind of enjoy ourselves for a few days. We came back and I was, noticing that the UFC was booking out October, November, December, and I was like, man, I need to get booked, or I might not fight this year. And so I told my manager, I was like, hey, I really want to fight or get a fight booked before the year is up, and I'm ready. I'm in shape. I'm doing good. I'll be doing all the right things. Let's just try to set something up soon. And I think he took that as I'm willing to take a short notice fight, and he knows I'm down for that shit anyways. But he offered it to me like literally a couple of days after that. It was like 3.5 weeks out. It was a Monday, 3.5 weeks before the fight. And so he asked me if I was willing to take that fight. He sent me a text message saying that Sean Shelby was willing to give me a new contract at a better starting rate at 4 fights again, a new 4 fight contract. Big incentive for me, obviously, because when you're on a 4 fight contract, I was on my last fight anyway, so things can go sideways. It can get hairy if you lose a fight. They don't want to re-sign you or something. So it's always good to get those new contracts going before the old ones are done. And so that was a huge incentive for me. But I was a bit heavy, and I told Jason I was about 30 pounds over. I was 176 and a half pounds when he first originally asked me about the fight, and I was like, man, it's like 3.5 weeks, 30 pounds. Shit, man. I don't know if I can do that, like, and show up to the fight 100% or even 80%. So I'm like, I think it's probably best in my best interest not to take the fight and not to just stress myself out physically to make that weight. And he said, yeah, it's probably a good idea. Let's just see if we can get something else on the books. I'm like, yeah, no worries. Literally the next day, I was like, man, I felt kind of like a bitch, for lack of better words, because I was like, man, I've never said no to anything. And Charles Jourdain was actually a great opponent for me. I like the matchup, just because I'm bigger, stronger, and my jiu-jitsu's, above his. I mean, he's a young kid still, and not to say that his skills aren't there. I'm 32 years old, and I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I knew he's only 25 years old. I knew if I got him on the ground, it'd be a wrap. And so, figured it'd be a great way for me to start off a new contract with the UFC. He's got some notable wins over some good guys, and he's got a split decision loss against Andre Fili. So he's got some really good fights that he has. And so it was just like eating me up not to be able to take the fight. And so I told Jason the next day, I said, hey, man, if he can do 150, I'll take the fight. No questions asked. I'll do it. And it's only 4 pounds. We're both featherweights. Like, if you can make featherweight and I can make featherweight, like, why don't we just make it less stressful on both of us? And let's just do that 150. And I know he was, had a couple canceled bouts with that Leon Murphy guy in a row. So I figured he might just be really itching to fight. And so I was like, well, if he's been getting ready for a while and supposed to be fighting, like, he might not, be upset to do a catch weight. And so Jason said, let me ask him. 2 weeks went by, didn't hear anything back. And I figured they went with somebody else or they're trying to do something else, and kept looking at UFC news alerts. The kids still didn't have a fight. And I was like, man, what the fuck's going on? Like, I want that fight. And then Jason messaged me two Mondays before the fight, and was like, hey, Sean Shelby's just badgering me about getting someone to fill this fight in because there's a lot of cancellations on this card and a lot of fights that fell out. And so I told him I want the fight. I've been wanting the fight just at 150. I'm just a bit heavy. And he was like, okay, let me ask. And Sean called Charles that day, and then Charles made the decision the next day on Tuesday and said he was willing to accept the fight. And and then how the rest of the story goes. So it was about a week I had outside of quarantine of training, and I was already training good. I'm a pretty consistent trainer anyways, but then we quarantined in the hotel for a few days and made the weight no problem, and went in there and did the damn thing.
You certainly did, man. It was a great fight. I was curious, going into that third round, did you feel like you lost the second? Like, was there that kind of sense of urgency, like, I got to finish this fight just in case? Because you never know with the judging.
Oh, 100. First off, the reason why my record's the way it is because I'm never looking to go to decisions, like
Yeah.
ever. Like if you look at my, I got 23 finishes out of 26 fights. Or 26 wins. So um, I always have the gas tank for finishes, and I'm always thinking that's all I'm ever thinking, just finish, finish, finish. I'm never thinking, "Ooh, I won that round. Oh, let's win this next round, and then we can just coast, and we can just win this fight without having to do any damage or anything." I'm never thinking that. I'm always thinking go for it. Like it's always let's finish this fight. The entire fight. I'm trying to knock him out too. I'm trying to finish him. I'm trying to finish him with body shots. I'm trying to finish him with knees. I'm trying to finish him elbows, punches, kicks, everything. And I'm willing to risk it too. I'm willing to risk it and finish by trying to finish it. But yeah, I figured we were probably 1-1 going into that third round. But like I was telling my coaches and other interviewers as well, was that even though people see a certain thing or your coaches see a certain thing and people watching see it might be 1-1, there's a different type of tension and understanding that's going on in the fight that nobody sees, that only me and Charles know. So regardless of the rounds being 1-1, I didn't give a shit about the scores because I knew that he knew I was winning that fight. Like we go into the third round, my pressure was just consistent. You could feel him like wilting underneath the pressure a little bit. He was kind of going for broke in certain spots, and I just knew he was getting a little desperate. So even though he had a decent second round, um, the understanding was there that if he didn't turn me off, it was over for him. And so, and no disrespect to Charles, because that kid is super respectful, and he just seemed mature beyond his age. He's only 25, but gave me nothing but respect, and he just really showed a lot of respect as well. And so, he was a great opponent to have, and it was just a really fun fight for me as well. But we knew going in that third round, and by we I mean me and him specifically, knew I was winning that fight and I was going to take that fight home. And I also knew if I just had him wrapped up into a Darce choke, it was going to be over quicker than you could say Darce choke. And so that's basically what happened. And it was going 1-1 into the third, but you never know. I mean, even DC was saying like it might be 2-0 to Charles Jourdain. I'm like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah, I know. I didn't think so either. Yeah.
man, like I'm pressuring this dude. Like I'm doing. I feel like I was doing really good in the first round and decent in the second round too. I mean, he had his moments as well, but arguably, I thought it was 1-1, and that I needed to get the second or the third round to be dominant and or just finish. But like I said, I always thinking about finish. And he had got up, gave me his back one time and got up, and he escaped, and we got to our feet again. Then I was able to take him down again, and he came up the same way. And you see me, I have his back, and I immediately let go of his back and just shoot my arm up there. And my arms are just so unusually long that people don't realize I can catch Darces from that exact spot. So once I locked it up, we rolled over, and he just rolled right into my guard, and it was over before he knew it was over.
Yeah, it was a great submission. Like just how quickly you were able to do it, and as soon as you had it on, I think everyone knew it was over. So tell me how you celebrated after a big win like that, because you get the finish, short notice, you had to cut all that weight. I mean, just the feeling must have just been amazing.
Yeah, it's me and my wife, we're I call us old because us celebrating is having ordering in a Papa Murphy's thin crust and having a couple of drinks at home and just going and being in bed by 9:30 watching Survivor or something. That's kind of like our celebratory time. But 2 nights ago, after the fight, we went out dinner. I had dinner with my coaches and just kind of just reviewed the fight with them. It was like I think that's really important to do, even when you win, to understand the mistakes that you were making. Still, obviously when you win, it's like, oh yeah, you feel like, oh, you're on top of the world, and you shouldn't have to take away anything from it. But when you lose, you take away everything. You're like, oh man, this and this and this and this happened wrong. So you got to do the same thing with these wins. He had his moments in the fight. He dropped me. He was landing a couple of things in the second round that he wasn't doing in the first round because of mistakes that I was making. So I needed to make those adjustments, and I needed to talk about it. I needed to, not sweep him under the rug like I've done before. And so, we had dinner with our coaches, and we, discussed the fight, all the good things and all the bad things, and everything in between. And so I think that's very important to do. And we enjoyed ourselves. I had a couple of beers, and then last night I had dinner with my manager, and we kind of just discussed, where what could be next possibly. Nothing specifically now, but he was just asking me if I wanted to fight, but he also wanted to take me out to dinner, kind of celebrate as well. So last night we did that, and then hung out with some friends. I think last night was probably the latest night we like to stay out, and we were home by midnight. So if that gives you a little bit of an idea of how late we stay, like what partying is to us. So we were home last night, and I wanted to get up and go train this morning and kind of show face at the gym and just show these people that are in the UFC and these kids. There's a lot of kids in the gym that look up to me and draw inspiration off of me. So I want them to understand that even us at the highest levels, it's because we're here because we're in the gym day in and day out, regardless of what's going on. I mean, some guys, some of the big shots, and some of the bigger guys will come in for a few months, have their fights, and then be gone for a few months. And it's like, that's not how it should be. I can't tell these kids underneath me that you need to work every day if I'm not working every day. I can't be a hypocrite. If I'm telling people this, I got to do it myself. And so for me, it's always important to show face the week of or the week after the fight. Even if I'm only in there for half the practices, I still need to show up and show these guys that I'm still working. I'm beat up. I'm tired. I'm sore. This morning, I did not want to go to practice. I was out late. I had a few drinks last night. So I had a slight hangover, but it wasn't even that. It was just, I was beat up. My shin's beat up from kicking Jourdain's arms, his legs. My arms are beat up from catching his kicks, we had a solid fight. And so I definitely didn't want to go to practice, but I needed to go there just to, kind of keep that inspiration going for these guys.
We don't have a UFC this weekend. We do have one the week after. Wanted to get your thoughts on a couple of the fights on that card. In the lightweight division, we've got Jim Miller taking on Nikolas. Motta. Jim Miller, the favorite on Fanduel right now at -130. Motta +108. Who are you liking in that one? You going with the vet, Jim Miller, or are you going with the Brazilian, I should say?
Man, I've always been a fan of Jim Miller, man. That guy's always he's like a Donald Cerrone, he's just been around the block for so long, just got so many fights in the UFC and just continues to, capture these wins over, solid dudes. So I'm going to go with Jim Miller just because I just love his grittiness. I love his ability to win the fight anywhere. I mean, the guy's jiu-jitsu is insane, and he's not afraid to stand and bang as well. So I feel like he kind of falls in that same category as me, like, we're willing to stand and bang, but we got, good jiu-jitsu as well.
Co-main event is Cutelaba taking on Devin Clark. Cutelaba, the favorite at -146. Devin Clark, the underdog, +124. That's at light heavyweight. Who do you like in that one?
I got to go with Cutelaba just because he trains with us at Extreme Couture. So I gotta have his back on that one.
Okay, fair enough. And the main event is Anthony Smith and Ryan Spann. Anthony Smith, the favorite at -184. Ryan Spann, the underdog, +154. Who do you like in the light heavyweight main event?
Oh man, what fight was Smith's last fight?
Smith fought Jimmy Crute. Remember, and Crute broke his ankle in that fight.
All right, that's right. So I think Smith has kind of been a little bit on a downhill. He won that fight, but that was kind of one of those freak things.
Yeah, exactly.
There was another injury, or that was when Weidman broke his ankle.
Exactly. Yeah, same card. Exactly. Yeah.
So there was a couple of really like random things that happened that night, but I know Smith was kind of been on the downhill, so I'm gonna go with Spann on that one.
You mentioned it there. We just had this fight. I know you got to celebrate a bit last night. Are you looking to fight one more time this year, or would you rather look ahead to next year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we got 4 more months of the year. I took this fight on 10 days. I've taken fights on 3 days notice too. So I told my manager, we talked last night, and I told him that if maybe try to schedule something for like December would be nice. But I also told him if there's anything that pops up that's just sounds really good for me, let's just do it. Like, I just want to be in that space to be able to take it. And so I'm really focused on trying to, maintain my weight, underneath 170 pounds. I can't be getting to the mid and high 70s because then I can't take these fights, these short notice fights. And I really love these short notice fights because for me, I feel like it's people, especially other fighters that do that thing where they don't get ready for fights until they have a fight. Like, they think, oh, he took it, a couple weeks notice. Like, he hasn't had much time to get ready. But if I take these short notice fights, it's not because it's the reason is because I'm in shape and I can make the weight because I've been training. Just because I took that fight 10 days notice doesn't mean my cardio was 10-day cardio. My cardio was through the roof. Felt like my cardio was better than his on that night, even though I took it 10 days because I train every day. I train so hard, and I don't want to let that go to waste. So if an opportunity, and that's why I felt like earlier I said I felt like a bitch for not taking the fight, because I felt like it was a great fight, super opportunity for me to get a new contract with the UFC, and I just felt so disappointed in myself by having to decline the fight because of weight. So I want to be in a space where I can take these fights, especially when they favor me. I was the underdog, but I thought it was a great matchup, and so I want to be available for those. So if I don't get another short notice fight, I'm hoping possibly December.
One other guy that was on your card is someone that you actually fought, Paddy Pimblett. I know it's a different weight class, but is that a fight that would interest you if they said, "Hey, do you want that rematch?" Is that something you consider?
First off, to talk about the whole Paddy thing, it was a long time ago we fought, and a lot of people arguably thought that I won the fight. I think I won the fight as well. It was a little bit rigged, I would say. His manager was also the promoter of Cage Warriors and the matchmaker. So the guy that's also his manager is hiring the judges. I think that's a bit, biased in a sense, obviously. But, it is what it is. And it was a fight I shouldn't have taken anyways. I didn't have the right management in place at the time. I was just doing it because it was Connor's old belt. And I figured if I get that belt, they got to put me back in the UFC. So I took that fight. Horrible weight cut, kind of like all the variables that could go wrong kind of went wrong in that fight. And I still, went there and showed out that night and went 5 rounds. Made him puke afterwards, I made him look kind of like an imbecile a little bit. But you know what? Me and him talked a few times during the week, seeing him in and out of of the buses and the hotel rooms and stuff. And he nothing but respect for me. And it was a two-way street. We had nothing but respect for each other. So I would be interested if he wanted to come to featherweight. I'd fight him at featherweight. I mean, he said he was going to fight. He was going to clean out the lightweight division, then move to 45 and clean out that division. So whenever he's ready to come to 45, I'll be here waiting for him. I think I still have the skill sets to beat him. I felt like he was a bit sloppy on Saturday. He almost got knocked out and then knocked the other dude out. I mean, they were just flipping a coin. And I felt like sometimes I do the same thing, and so I respect that as well. But I think if he doesn't clean it up a little bit on the feet, there's a lot of guys at 55 that are going to take him out. So we'll see what happens with him. But I mean, anything interests me. I'm down to take any fight with anybody, anytime, anywhere. As everybody knows, I'm willing to take these short notice fights. But I mean, if he's not fighting at featherweight, he's not even on the horizon for me.
Before we go, I got to ask this as a Canadian and a hockey fan as well. The Seattle Kraken, they have a team now. I know you're originally from Washington State. Are you a Seattle Kraken fan now with the fact they have an NHL team?
Man, I don't follow much hockey. I live in Vegas now, and everybody's all gung ho about the Knights, and so but that was because the Knights were the only sports team that we had here for a long time. So, never really been a big hockey fan. Don't know much about it, but I have been watching the Untold Stories on Netflix, and one of them was this hockey one where this guy, they called him the bully. I can't remember his name, but it was a good story, and it got me really interested in it. But it was all the dude was they called him the bully because he would just go and fight people, and he knew he wasn't the best hockey player, so he said he had to climb the ranks by fighting people. I thought that was so interesting that that's like one of the only sports besides actually fighting that you can get away with doing that. You can't be half-assed at football and be like, well, I'm just going to fight my way through it or find my way up into the contract, or can't be half-assed at baseball, so I'm just going to fight my way. But hockey, back in the day when he was doing it, you could do that. And it's so funny because he really did that. But, I guess, if I'm going to take any team in hockey, I kind of go with the Knights only because they've only been, and I've lived here, and they've only been here as long as I've been here. So, like, it hasn't been like they started years and years ago and I came here and I hopped on the train, they started when I was kind of living here. So I'd probably go with them.
Julian, thanks for doing this, man. I know we went way over time. Anyone you want to thank before we get out of here? Any sponsors, any social media? I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, just like usual. If you want to reach me, the best way to reach me is on my Instagram, Julian_Erosa. I always want to thank my management, Jason House and Iridium Sports Agency, because without them, I wouldn't be here. Without them, I wouldn't even have this fight. He's the guy that stays on the books for me and is always keeping my name in the mix to hop in on these things. And so always got to thank them. Everybody that's associated with Iridium Sports Agency, they do such a good job. They make sure I have everything. Same with the UFC. I mean, the UFC does a fantastic job as well. All the people that and the employees that work there, my friends and family, all my training partners, all my coaches, all the gyms out here in Vegas, and anybody else that anybody that watched my fight and became a fan of me, thank you as well. Because it just helps helps build my name with the UFC.